Alright, so here's my progress on this box so far. So the idea with this thing is I wanted something portable that I could just grab and do some testing with that was kind of convenient to work with. So originally I had a 25 pin port here, and then I had a bunch of wires. It kind of looked like crap and it was a little bit hard to deal with, so I bought this for 10 bucks off of Amazon, made a little mount here, and then I've got the Arduino over here, and eventually this is what I'm going for. So I've added a power switch here on this side that will allow me to turn the battery power on and off to it. Right now I just drop the battery in and it powers the thing immediately. I don't know what to do. Oh, there's the battery. So I'm just using these Hercules batteries and everything turns on. So that works fairly well. This is basically what I'm going to be going after. So this is a, let me find my mouse. Yeah, right here. That's a 20 volt to 5 volt converter. You can see the breadboard on top. One of the things I regret is I stuck the breadboard just directly to this plate here. So it's got double-sided tape and I just stuck it on there. I wish I would have 3D printed a thing that I could just bolt on and remove if I wanted to change it up or something. One of the things that I've learned doing a lot of this stuff is as I 3D print stuff, I've learned to add extra holes. So if you see, let's see, like this model right here. So this is being bolted on with these 3 bolt holes here. So you can see the bolt holes here, and then here, and here. So one of the things I've learned to do is I went ahead and added a extra bolt pattern here that's 1024. And this one, I added it down here. So I've got an extra 1024 bolt pattern here. And so the idea being, if say I want to add a Raspberry Pi or another Arduino or something like that to this, I can expand here. So I could actually come off of the back of this and hold another, like say maybe an Arduino Nano or another Mega right here, and then I can have this, you know, if I wanted to say add a Raspberry Pi off to the side, I can do that, and I could do all the wiring and all that kind of crap right here on this breadboard. The reason I wish I wouldn't have done it this way is, what if I needed a bigger breadboard, or maybe I wanted to expand and make a bigger another breadboard, or maybe have an OLED display or something like that. I could have done that had I not stuck this on here. So what I may do is re-3D print this and re-engineer it for that. I'll put the handle here, and you can see it pretty much balances out because most of the weight is in the front with the motors and the drivers on the bottom. These are just some stepper motors and stepper drivers that I had. They're cheap, nothing fancy, nothing special. But the idea is I want to be able to connect to this, and this is what I'm going to be testing for a few things. So I'm doing a lot of robotics stuff at work where I'm messing with stuff, and I just want a way to say, here's one of the pointers that I've 3D printed just to test it. And I did it this way so you can see, hang on, kind of hard to, I've got 2 ways to see where it's at. So you've got this where it kind of I don't know. I think it'd be a little bit easier to see if it's lined up that way. And then you've got this one that's just a point to point, like that. And I've not printed the plate yet with the indicators on it. I just wanted to print one of these really quick to see how well it fit on there. So I've got it printed, and I've also got a hole in the back that I can thread for a set screw if necessary. So out of the 3 3D printers that I have, this one's the only one that's working right now. My Ender 3 S1 Pro, I've got one of those Creality Wi-Fi boxes, and now I regret buying the stupid thing. I'm going to buy another one of these because they've changed the way they do things now, and you have to slice in their stupid app. So what I used to be able to do is come in here, for instance, where's it at? So you can see I've uploaded the file. I've used their Creality slicer, and I could just go in here and hit slice, go to my phone, and tell it to print what I just sent it. Well, now that's no longer there, which is really retarded, and because of that, I won't buy another 3D product, or a Creality product. They screwed up what worked really well. These I am very happy with. It's all self-contained. It does cost a little bit more, but it gives you so many more things. So all of my 3D printers will probably end up with one of these cameras. Now the caveat to that, this is my Sovol SV02. I also have a SV04 in my shop that's running right now. And the Beagle camera does say that it's compatible with an SV04, and I can make it print stuff with one of the extruders or the other. But I can't make it work in mirror mode, and I can't make it work in duplicate mode, which really sucks, because I use that quite a bit when I'm making multiples of things. For instance, I need 4 of these. What I would do with my SV04 is I would print 2 and then just do it in copy mode, and it would print 4 just like I was using 2 printers, which would speed the process up. So that was kind of nice, but they need to take the compatibility off of their compatibility list, because they do not work with the Sovol SV04 the way it should be. Still worth the $80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera that I've got on my SV04 and I'm going to put it on the Creality. I've also ordered, let's see, where's it at? Is it this one? No, that's the SV02. I've ordered a, oh, here we go, SV06. So I've got one of those on the way, just because I'm crazy. Honestly, the Sovols have been pretty good. The SV04 right now, I'm getting some kind of a thermistor error or something. I honestly haven't even looked at it. But I obviously like them well enough that I ordered another one. I'm also going to order at work one of the, where's it at? One of these. Well, I don't know if it'll be, I'm kind of looking at different ones. But we need a 3D printer at work. Not that one. Where's it at? One of these. Nope. Doggone it. It's a CR30 is what I was thinking. But now, with their idiocy, I'm probably going to go with either one of these different ones. I saw one that used linear rails instead of the balls like this uses, like these little plastic things wear, and one of these had a linear rail, and I was going to order another SV02 in place of my as an addition to what I've already got, but the SV06, oh, this is the plus, you can see it's actually got rails that are more like these right here. So this is, I think, a little bit better. Hopefully, we'll see, but I've got one of those coming. But either way, the idea behind this is I can use this cable to connect to this, and then I can go from here to the breadboard. I can have it interface with the Arduino, and I can program it from here. I may add a Raspberry Pi up here to where I've got all three. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, but I probably will eventually. But again, that's why I tried to plan for extra expandability on the back here. And worst case, I can always replace this whole thing. So I started this with just this piece right here, the front and the bottom. So I started the design with just that, and then I added a battery holder on the side, and I had it coming down like this with a big fillet, and then I reprinted that like this, reprinted one on the side here to where I'd have a parallel port that I could connect to, and then I printed a back that had holes in it where I could pull the wires through, and if I wanted to put some like a fan here, I've got extra holes here to where I can make a new thing to where I can mount fans that will cool this off if I want to as well. And then I printed a top, and then I printed this back bracket that bolts on here, and then I printed this one, then I printed this one. So I've sort of added to this thing as I've gone. So it's funny because the design sort of evolved more and more, and it's becoming kind of more and more of a monstrosity. But ideally, I'll be able to take this thing and I can do tests on my program. And the only thing, so like my back gauges for my press brake, I can sit in here and test if this motor turns when I expect it to, or that one. So I can say, this is my Y-axis, this is my X-axis, this is my A-axis. And I can sit here and mess with a Python program that interfaces with an Arduino and see if it actually turns these as I expect it to. One of the things I do wish I would have done is added a secondary connector that if I wanted to use the built-in motors that I could, or if I wanted to use something like one of these linear things like this, I could have easily connected it into this box. So I could have actually done that with something like a DB9 serial port or a Cat5 connector or something like that, where I could have had external drives and drivers added. So I may eventually do something similar to that, to where, say I want to go from 4 axes to 6 to 8 to whatever, I'll have the ability to add maybe another modular box with more axes built into it. So I could 3D print another box, put 4 more drivers into it, and have it actually connect to this one, where I can sit there and play with up to 8 axes, or something along those lines. I've already got some more of these steppers on the way. These are cheap, which is one of the reasons I kind of went this direction. And I do have, I don't know what I did with them, but I ordered some of the 3D printer drivers. It's like a, shoot, I've got them somewhere. These, the little TCM 2208, 2209. It's a stepper driver that's like that big, and it's made to go on like a circuit board or the main board for this thing. And I also ordered, where'd they go? I've got a mess. I'm cluttered terribly. These little headers to where I can make some circuit boards that those will plug into. So, come on. The idea being, instead of having a box quite this big, I could have way more inside the box with those little stepper drivers. These are this type. They're like $10 a piece. They're cheap, and they're noisy, but again, for what I'm doing, this is going to work just fine just for testing things. And this box, the way I've got it set up, like I said, let's see, let me get back to that. I'm going to add a switch here, so I'm going to have to reprint this whole piece here. And this is just a cover, so if I, let's see, if I isolate this part, There. You can see the cover goes away. The switch will stick in here and click in. And then I've got a little cubby hole that goes back through here where I can wire everything into where the connectors are back here. And I've already cut a bunch of those little connectors, so I'll just have to rebend them and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I'm going to probably do is redesign it. Where did that battery go? For a DeWalt battery. This battery will connect in, but as you can see, this is the same basic connector. Okay. And shoot, that's the wrong one. This is the same thing as that, and it will connect to either a, what? Okay, it did. I've got one somewhere, but this battery is supposed to drop in, and see, you can see it try to drop in there, where this one will drop right in. So the battery itself would go in. The only thing that's stopping it is these connectors, because I didn't realize it until recently, but you can see where this connector will slide directly in like that. So it goes right in, but it will not go into this battery because it's too thick. These have more narrow slots. So the thing will work with either or. So I took a DeWalt battery holder that I found online, and I just kept messing with it until it worked with both my buddy's DeWalt battery and the Hercules batteries that I've been using. And I don't know why all of a sudden it won't work now, because it was working. Either way, I've got like 15 revisions of these things where I kept trying to make it work, and I kept printing them and messing with them until I got it right. But for whatever reason, I have a bunch of the old revisions that don't work with the DeWalt stuff. Either way, and that's annoying. See, you can see here's another revision, and again, what's funny is this actually started as a DeWalt thing, so it worked. It always worked with the DeWalt. I don't know why it don't work now. That is weird. I literally put that on that battery a day ago. Huh. Interesting. I'll have to play with that off camera. But either way, that's my little controller box. I don't know if anybody would be interested in the files for this, but I'd be happy to upload them. One of the things I am going to do, and one of the reasons, again, that I made this modular is as I've done this, I've changed the design. So let me get out of here. So I've got that one here, and on Amazon, let's see, where's it at? Here. So I found this one, and what I like about this one is it gives you the same thing that this one does, but it also allows you to connect another, oh, shoot, either, what, on it. You can use this, but you also have male and female. So I could connect either type of cable, or I could connect into it and extend it and, you know, extend it to something else, for instance, if I wanted to. So I'm probably going to make a new one of these that uses that connector instead of that one at some point. And that one will probably be more of a flat connector that stays flat, and then I could come up the back here and put another device. So I could either, where this one, in order to make it the way I wanted it, I wanted it to kind of be, the idea was I wanted to be able to see everything that I'm working with. I wanted to be able to easily connect to everything. I staggered this one back to where I could access the wires from the back of this one, and it wouldn't really be in the way of that. So if I take that one and I put here, and then I come up the back with another leg like this, I could put a Raspberry Pi, which I don't have handy right now, but I could add a Raspberry Pi to the back, have the connector, have a Raspberry Pi. I could connect between all of those devices and make all of that work. So the biggest problem is I've only got 20 volts coming in. So the little thing that I've got in my model here, I've actually got it, it's in the car, but this box, I'm trying to figure out how I want to connect it. Right now I've just got it mounted to the side. There's a little access hole that goes in for the inbound voltage, and then these wires would go up to my breadboard to give me a 5-volt rail. What I've thought about doing is using some of these. So I ordered these, and they're an adjustable converter, so I can dial in whatever voltage I want. So I thought about adding some of these, so have maybe 3 of them, where I can add 5 volts, I could have 10 volts, I could have 12 volts, 9 volts, whatever, all built into one thing. So either way, I just thought it was kind of nifty. It's kind of an original idea of something that I want to play with. And this is, again, to me, having a 3D printer to do this kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, I could have made a lot of this out of steel. Honestly, I could have made a steel box to do a lot of the same stuff. But what I couldn't have done easily is this. Have this mount to something that doesn't conduct electricity. Have this mount to something easily. I couldn't have made this out of steel very easily at all, if I even could have. So having the ability to do that and take something that really wasn't even meant for this application, but gives me a way to power this kind of stuff just by 3D printing something, is pretty stinking awesome. I love that ability to be able to prototype quickly. One of the things I've also found is, you know, it's like I made this. This took like 15 hours and something to actually print. The top, or the front face, and the bottom part of it. That took forever. I also inset the mounting hardware. So these are just regular bolts that I had, and I just did a hex where they just pop in there, and it does a really good job. So I've just got studs sticking up through the top there with that. And, you know, like I said, it's just a really nifty little thing. The original start of this was just this. It was a simple plate that the motor's mounted to, and it gave me a little indicator here that protrudes up, and that gave me the you know, just a way to hold those 4 motors. And then it evolved into that with a bottom, and then it evolved from that into what you see here. Just it's been about a week since I've been printing stuff to kind of add to this over time. But like I said, what I like, in a way I kind of hate it, because this is, you know, 8 or 10 hours worth of printing right here, and I'm going to trash this. I'm going to build another one. One of the things that I found is right here I had a bolt hole, and if you slide a battery in, oh, wrong battery. If I take a battery and try to slide in, you can see there's no room for a bolt here. So as I push this up, it slides right by there. So one of the things I'm going to integrate into the new one is that's going to be a flathead, where it's, I forget what it's called, but it's domed, this little chamfer. So I'll be able to screw directly in, and it'll be flush. These are just bolts that I had on hand, a bunch of Allen head stuff from Harbor Freight. Honestly, a lot of the design was done with 1/4-20 hardware, basically because I knew offhand that I needed a .201 hole to tap it for threads, and it was fast and easy. But what I would have done, what I should have done, is made everything 1024. 1/4-20 is really overkill for a lot of this stuff. So again, the next thing I've got to figure out is how I'd like to elegantly add some way of taking my 20 volts and making it more usable for the rest of this. So I would like to have a 20 volt and then a 5 volt, a way to power this and a Raspberry Pi, all from one battery here. And I thought about adding like an auxiliary way of powering all of this with, say, a laptop connector. So get a plug that gives me 20 volts to where if I don't have a battery connected, I can actually just plug it into the wall and not use a battery at all, and do everything I need to do that way as well. So there's all the little things that I'm going to mess with as time goes on. But, you know, again, having SolidWorks and the ability to just quickly mock all this stuff up and print it. And 99% of this stuff, I went to my dad's over the Easter weekend, and you know, while I was up there messing around with him, I'd log into those cameras and I would print this part, then this part, then this part. So by the time I got home, I had multiple hour print stuff done and printed and ready to be used and bolted on. And then over the next week, when I came home from work, I would add more stuff to it. So I would start printing something that was going to take hours before I left for work or while I was asleep. And there again, you know, having the ability to just cue that up and walk away or go to sleep, and I don't have to actually build that, that's really nice. So I can do all my design work, and when it's bedtime, I just go, oh, you print that, you print that, you print that, and it prints. And this little monitor right here is pretty freaking awesome too, by the way. So that gives me a second monitor for my laptop. It's a KYY, it's like a 15 point something inch, and it's USB-C to USB-C. So that's the only connector I have to do, and multiple monitors is